What is the scariest, creepiest theory you know about? That my mother-in-law keeps, accidentally, leaving things at my house because she is slowly moving in. Edit. My mother-in-law is awesome. We've all pretty much heard of Uncanny Valley, the creeped-out anxious feeling when you look at something that's humanoid but there's something clearly wrong with it. Like the wax figures at Madame Tussauds or that AI robot Sophia. But my favorite theory to come out of it is that we get that strange feeling because somewhere along human evolution we've learned to be wary of things that look human, but aren't. The theory that the last moments of consciousness before death can feel like a literal eternity. And where your mind can create entire realities from blissful to horrifying. So in a way the threat of enduring a hellscape of eternal suffering is very real no matter what you believe. Edit. So dying is like dropping acid. Don't do it unless you're in a good headspace. Edit. Well fuck. My inbox is never going to recover. This is my hell. If the human body senses trauma it is unable to combat. It will switch off metabolism, pump endorphins, and slip into a pain-free dissociative state. In essence, shutting down. It's been seen in air crashes and lots of places really. Basically your body can switch itself off. A lot of comments bringing up the Fermi paradox to explain the lack of evidence of extraterrestrial life. When by all accounts we should be seeing alien life all over the universe. Here's another unsettling explanation. If you're scuba diving above a coral reef, and you know that there should be fish all around you, but you don't see any, it's most likely that they have learned that for some reason it's important not to be seen. And since you're a newcomer to this environment, chances are it's not you they're hiding from. Edit. The number of scuba divers saying they've experienced this and then noticed a shark nearby is alarming. Years ago when I was seriously dating my now wife, almost every time we started to have sexy time her mother would call up. Seemed strange. Then disgusting when we found the hidden camera when moving her out. That all intelligent life kills itself. So the theory started out with the Fermi paradox. Basically there are so many planets in this galaxy, let alone the entire universe, that it is statistically impossible that we're the only planet that developed intelligent life. So where is everybody? Well, the secondary theory is that every intelligent species reaches the point where they have a technology that can kill their entire species. And that the vast majority end up killing themselves at that point. Those who survived this time in their history are so rare that we haven't found them and they haven't found us. As a species we reached that point in our history with the discovery of nuclear weapons. And we're at the height of risk during the Cold War, at least thus far in our collective history. But there are various technologies that could bring a species to this point in their history. This would mean that while so far we've survived that it's statistically unlikely we will survive long term. Our world is our perception of our surroundings in our three-dimensional life. It's possible that we are living amongst beings, things and events that we cannot experience because we are three dimensions and they are not. Edit. Thank you everyone for continuing the conversation and adding your thoughts. I must say, this is the most upvoted and awarded thing I've ever put out on Reddit. It means a lot to me to contribute to mindfucking my fellow Redditors and really get us thinking about weird shit that we typically may not. Think big. Dream bigger. The one that bugs me was the one about the guy who was last seen in an airport. There's video of him just wigging the fuck out and running away at full speed. They linked the surveillance footage and you can see him run all the way off the premises. He was never seen again. There's lots of theories about what happened. None I want to look too far into. The first man in space, some Russian cosmonaut whose name I can't remember, was not the true first. The actual first was a cosmonaut whose mission was unsuccessful and he either died in orbit or on re-entry. Once it became apparent that he was doomed, the Russian authorities cut off communications, leaving him to die in isolation, and covered up the existence of the mission. Edit. Some corrections are called for. Op asked about theories, which I thought this was. But the facts are pretty well settled. First man in space was Yuri Gagarin. Sorry for not knowing that without Googling. Geez. The story I described was of Komarov, and his fatal mission occurred after Gagarin's historic first. What was theoretical was the story of a group of cosmonauts who did predate Gagarin, who were abandoned upon mission failure, and whose distress calls were heard and recorded by amateur radio. I had a vague recollection of this theory and was confusing it with Komarov's story. This theory has been widely debunked. That you might be aware of everything happening to you during surgery. The anesthesia keeps you from moving and causes you to forget. Cosmology can be disturbing. For instance, I recently learned of dead-end trips. There are some destinations that you shouldn't try for. It's possible to travel so far away from where you started that the expansion of the universe will exceed the speed you were traveling at. You can't return home. Because home is receding faster than you can travel. You can't reach your destination. Because it too is receding faster than you can travel. You can no longer get anywhere. Only get further away from everything. You cannot reach any destination. Even if you travel forever. We could be a brain in someone's basement. Just imagining our whole life and everyone we meet. Edit. I made this as a joke. I didn't know it had so many layers to it. You would have already known that if you looked at my name. That we have so little data about the deep dark parts of the ocean and don't truly know what lurks there. The theory that Carson Wentz and Prince Harry switched lives in 2019 and that's why Wentz sucks at football and Harry left the royal family. It's scary that there are thousands of serial killers out there at any one given time who often just blend in with the rest of society and live normal lives. Many will never be caught. The universe could be dying. And we'd have no way to know until we just suddenly vanish from existence. There could be a sort of quantum energy wave. Can't remember what it's called because it's been so long since I read about it. 0-point collapse. Maybe? Vacuum bubble burst? But whatever it is, it's an energy wave that starts at some point and spreads outward at the speed of light, annihilating any matter, energy, and even space-time in its path. Because the wave travels at the speed of light, it is invisible. We would have no way of seeing it coming. Because any light emitted by it would hit us at the exact same time that the wave itself hits us. So, all of a sudden, the sun might just vanish from existence. We wouldn't notice because the sun's light from 8 minutes ago would still be reaching us. 8 minutes later, the Earth just vanishes from existence. No warning. No trace. I like that this thread is filled with nightmarish death, alien, apocalypse, universe-ending scenarios, but the top post is about someone's mother-in-law coming to live with them. The butterfly effect. It makes me feel like deciding whether to choose black shirts or white shirts would increase or decrease my chances of dying young. Edit. I wore a blue undershirt. I wonder what will happen. Edit 2. To all the people saying that I am Chidi Anaganye. You all made my day. More of a story than a theory. But it correlates to some of these and makes me think some could be real. When I was younger I had this little stuffed animal dog I named Rocky. One night, my younger sisters and I, who all slept in the same room so we could hang out together, were messing around. And I two-handed overhead tossed Rocky into the wall directly in front of my bed. He hit the wall, slid down behind whatever was in front of my bed, and was never seen again. I immediately went to go get him and he just wasn't anywhere. We tore the whole entire small room apart. We all saw the event occur. Over time the room has been completely emptied out. Everything in it rearranged. Walls painted. Everything and no Rocky. He just completely phased out of existence. Makes me think he glitched out of the system or something. If you die by being beheaded, the last thing you might see is your decapitated body. Not a theory but reality. Schizophrenia can happen to anyone. At any age. Even to perfectly healthy people. Imagine being normal and then waking up one day and seeing and hearing things that aren't actually there. That is really scary and creepy. Humans are scared of things that mimic them too perfectly. The theory is that we developed this because there was a super predator of some sort that would mimic us and kill us. But we never knew what happened to it. Some people have had some strange NDEs, near-death experiences. Going through websites cataloging them can be a trip. I'm willing to attribute some of them to brain damage and some as legit, though I'll never be able to tell which is which. Deathbed visions give me a warmer sense of security. I can't imagine how peaceful it must be to die and see your deceased loved ones there to ensure you make it safely to the other side. During the Challenger accident from 1986. Whenever the shuttle exploded, the ground crews had the astronauts' EKGs and vital scans. After the explosion, the astronauts were still alive. Theory has it that they were cognizant the entire time until they crashed in the ocean. The Gaian bottleneck theory. Basically, the reason we've never encountered or been contacted by aliens is because they're all dead. Every alien species that evolved to form advanced societies eventually outgrew their planet and destroyed themselves. Like we are. The theory that we're all quantum immortals, and when someone dies in our reality for them, they just keep on going in a reality where they didn't. That humans almost went extinct. 70,000 years ago a volcano in Indonesia erupted. There's theories that we have a genetic bottleneck around that time. Took our population down to 10,000,000,3,000, like the size of one small town. Lots of fresh genetic material died with those who were lost, and the resulting inbreeding could have resulted in some genetic diseases that have made their way into humans today. Without this event, we may have advanced faster and be healthier people today. Edit. Link. Edit 2. Thank you for the awards. When I went to sleep this had 5 upvotes and now it's 10K. I'm glad that so many people found this interesting. I'd like to clarify that this is a theory. A hypothesis supported by a collection of facts. The theory is not fact and truth in itself. So don't take it that way. I have gotten a lot of messages where people think that I'm spreading falsehoods about this, and I want to address that there is counter-evidence against the volcano causing a genetic bottleneck. There is still evidence of the genetic bottleneck and the recent and abrupt diversification of humanity. Most of the research that I've seen on this comes from 2000. It's been 20 years, so there has been lots of work done on this very topic in the time since. The point is, don't take it as fact. The thread asked for scary theories and I provided a scary theory. Not fact. For more information and supporting evidence that human beings diversified recently, we can look at stories like Cheddarman, a dark-skinned, blue-eyed man that lived around 10,000 years ago in England. I have also been getting a lot of questions about if we have genetically improved as a species from this. The short answer is I don't know, and I don't think anyone does. I think it's unlikely, as I've never heard of a population bottleneck going well. Pain does not equal gain, and survival of the fittest hasn't really applied to people for a long time, and for a variety of reasons. We tend to protect others that are weak because those that are different have still purpose and use to the community. We care about each other and want to see everyone succeed. This line of thinking that we must have become stronger from such a critical state seems far too close to eugenics. I'm in a nursing home with dementia in 2060. And all I'm doing is reliving this moment of November 2020. May or not be a theory. But the first thing I thought of was that feeling you get when you're on top of a building and think, what if I jumped? Or when you're driving and think, what if I just swerve into traffic? Well, it's actually got a name, l'appel du vide. French for the call of the void. I always thought the idea of some ethereal presence calling you towards darkness. Creepy. Edit. Thank you all for the love and awards. I prefer the call of the void. But thank you all for sharing the other names for this phenomenon. I hadn't heard them all. It's comforting to know that we've all had this feeling at some point. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're suicidal, homicidal. It's normal. Just that pesky void at it again. This was a bad thread to read before going to bed. Edit. Dear God, this comment blew up. Thank you guys for the awards. And yes, half of these stories still have me terrified and awake at 12:22 a.m. Spontaneous combustion. I watched a strange but true episode about this as a child and was convinced I'd randomly burst into flames one day. I'm over it now, but that was my top fear for a long time. The theory that scented candles started getting poor reviews at the same time COVID hit the US. Makes you wonder how many people have mild COVID before we even knew about it. Pairing the lack of taste and/or smell as one of the main symptoms associated with mild COVID cases. The theory that there is an infinite number of parallel universes branching out at each moment with all possible outcomes for each situation. Let's say this is true and you play Russian roulette. 5 out of 6 of possible you would live and 1 would die, but no matter how many times you play there would always be versions of you that would survive. This would give those versions of you the illusion of immorality. This would mean that no matter the risks you would take, there would always be some version of you that would survive. If this is true, it would mean that you could live your life completely free of the fear of death and take on any risk. But the only way to know if this is true is to expose yourself to high odds of deaths. Repeatedly. Also, this would mean that as time passed there would always be a more decrepit and invalid version of you surviving. Maybe forever. Anyways, that or lizard people. Edit. As numerous people have mentioned. This is apparently called quantum immortality, not immorality, and no, I am not an anti-Semite. Sometime in the future, if we don't disappear before, humans will probably be able to bioengineer themselves to avoid death by old age. Most probably only the richest people would get this, founding an immortal elite of dynasties that will be able to rule nations by themselves, while common people simply keep dying as always. Now almost everyone think of death as something normal and inevitable, as part of our nature. But then, in that hypothetical future, death will be seen like a disease which curates kept away from common people by that ruling elite. Everyone both on Reddit and outside of it is a bot except you. There's a theory that the universe is expanding and compacting again, repeated forever, and that with each expansion we relive history all over again but with slight differences. Remember that time you had déjà vu? Some people think you're seeing a previous version of history play out, which means you're stuck reliving your life forever. It's a darker spin on the multiverse idea, I suppose. That nobody has any free will and that everything in your future is actually already predetermined. That the numbers of people that go missing per year expressed as a percentage happens to be the same percentage as the amount of animals that get picked off from a herd in a year by predators. It implies we are being farmed. I came into this thread unafraid of death. I'm leaving petrified, thanks. That mind control actually exists. It's something that would never go public because whoever was able to perfect it first would be in the position to use it on whoever is aware of its existence. I had a professor in college who taught physics and he explained why we will likely never come across aliens. The universe is about 14 billion years old. Over the course of that time, it's likely that intelligent life, besides life on Earth, has existed. However, 14 billion years is an insanely long time. Other life forms have probably risen and fallen thousands of times over. Extreme dynasties with technology we can only dream of having have probably existed. Life forms could have lasted hundreds of thousands of years and still not even be close to our timeline. The chances of other intelligent life forms existing at the same time as humans. In the 14 billion years the universe has hosted a possibility for life is really unlikely. Statistically, intelligent life to have formed, prospered, or even existed at the same time as humans is extremely small simply due to the absolute drop in a bucket that we are on terms of time. We may very well be completely alone in the universe. The dark forest theory. This explains the Fermi paradox. Why we haven't seen any other advanced life forms despite the vastness of the universe. Other advanced life forms don't send out signals into the rest of the universe because they're worried that something more advanced and dangerous is going to find them first. There's another idea that other civilizations know there's something out there but don't send any signals because it has no reason to not wipe out the entire planet. There's a science fiction book based on this and I think this quote explains it better than I can. The universe is a dark forest. Every civilization is an armed hunter stalking through the trees like a ghost, gently pushing aside branches that block the path and trying to tread without sound. Even breathing is done with care. The hunter has to be careful, because everywhere in the forest are stealthy hunters like him. If he finds another life, another hunter, angel, or a demon, a delicate infant to tottering old man, a fairy or demigod, there's only one thing he can do: open fire and eliminate them. This is pretty cliché, but the theory that your whole known life you've been in a coma and have imagined everything. Your family isn't really your family and everyone and everything doesn't actually exist. Then when you wake up you'll have to live through life all over again with connections you've made to fake people. That the universe is infinite and there could be billions of other living organisms that all know about us and have significantly better technology and could wipe us out at any moment but choose to leave us be because they know that we don't know about them. Kinda like some indigenous tribes that live secluded and don't know that we are this civilized and technologically advanced. There is a theory which states that if ever anyone discovers exactly what the universe is for and why it is here, it will instantly disappear and be replaced by something even more bizarre and inexplicable. There is another theory which states that this has already happened. Douglas Adams. The theory that basically asks if there's other intelligent life out there. Why haven't we seen them? This means that if there really are aliens out there, and there have been for centuries, why have none been conclusively spotted? If you really think about it, there should be tons of alien evidence all around the visible universe if they have gotten to the point of interstellar travel. But there isn't. So that means something is stopping any advancement before it can get to that point. Essentially, there is a barrier that all other life has not been able to get past, which lies somewhere on the path of evolution and advancement. That barrier is most likely extinction. Humans are getting incredibly close to traveling beyond our home planet. With this theory in mind, the main concern is whether humans have not yet reached that barrier or if we are past it. If we have not reached it yet, then we are doomed to the same fate of other theoretical intelligent life. But if we are past it, we are lucky and may be able to travel the stars. In fact, we could very well be the first ones to make it. But we just don't know where the barrier is. Edit. Thanks for the silver less than 3. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like. If you would like to see more content like this in the future, subscribe and turn on notifications to be notified about future videos. Now check out one of these interesting videos.